I do apologize, everyone. My brain leaking out my ears. But here we are, Rogue Tower. Derp. No, that was 1000% a derp, yeah. But where we last left off, I have unlocked most of the early game techs. Quite a lot of the passive bonuses. But we've still got to get the treasury set up so I start with more money. And also, I'm fairly certain that this is a new one. Treasure. Draw an additional card from treasure chests. Now, at this stage, I only have 2 weapon cards to unlock. The Lookout and the Particle Cannon. And we'll see what those, where those guns goes. No, it's my fault. I should have been more specific. No, don't apologize. It was 100% my dirt, but thank you very much for letting me know. Right. I think we've completed a single defense, but you know what? Well, let's jump into a single defense to start things off with, and then we're going to focus almost exclusively on double defense. This is about as good as the map can possibly be. Well, let's pop down literally blister everywhere. These ones should go for least health. But the others can just attack whatever. Okay, so we can get more gold. All ballistas gain 5% slow. Go for ballistas gaining slow. The music is a massive bop, yes. 1000% on that. We could gain better mana generation or go for mortars. We'll go for mortars early on. Pop a 3 there and ideally a 2. No, that is not necessarily the best position ever, but this early location can probably manage it. Let's grab another mortar around here. Maybe even a mortar there as well. Actually, we can't afford that one. But I want this one to go for armor. This one to go for health. And the next one I build to go for shield. The music is amazing, yeah. Okay, now this is not something that we've been playing around with yet. So I think we're going to pick it up. But I'm still going to have this. Actually, you can go for the fastest instead. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Go for the most health. 5 range on mortars, dear lord. Oh, the shredder. It has to be the shredder. Though, how quickly I'm going to be able to get to the shredder, I don't know. Take care, avocado witch nits. I guess this is a sort of tower defense game, from what I'm seeing. Yes. You build... It's kind of like you're building the path yourself. These can be just a single long run, which is fantastic and much easier to protect, to a branching area, and then you've got multiple directions that enemies could be coming from. After each wave, though, initially, like, right now I'm getting many more cards. Initially, you start with a choice of 3 cards every 3 waves. but I've spent meta currency, so you gain experience points depending on how well you did every run. And then you can use those to upgrade your deck, the cards that you might find in the deck, or the permanent passive upgrades to your deck. Right now, we are very much in need of cash. Cash that is not coming our way just yet, which is a shame. Go ahead and select you. That in. This one is currently going for most health. I would like this one to go for least health, actually. Now, you can have multiple priorities, though the way they interact is multiplicative. So, for example, if you say most armor and most health, then every potential target within range of the tower will be scored by multiplying its health with its armor, and then the mobs that score the best will be selected. Which does mean that, for example, an enemy with 100 health and 400 armor, and someone with 400 health and 100 armor score exactly the same. It's not a strict priority queue. The order in which these elements appear in the targeting priority doesn't matter. I think we're going to go with a longer reach ballista. This is looking like a nice little spot over there. Oh, don't worry, we may go for the obelisk melting option. That works very well in the last stream. Yeah, this is a pretty chill game. It does get hectic as you go, and some of the background music is just amazing, by the way. If you can get to the hell levels, the soundtrack is just glorious. But it's not as chill. Right, okay, so what do we want to go for? Chat, encampment or shredder? Have I shown you the encampment yet? Hey, Takarash. Shredders will probably hit most things, but the encampment... I mean, I can only afford one right now, but the encampment is more of a eliminator for anyone who gets past my main defenses. How are the ferrets today? They're getting some food right now. Shit, I was taking care of them. I'll pop that one down there for now, and we'll see how this goes. There is no targeting with this. You just place it, and it will slowly fill the area with mines, as you can see. You can have them massively doubled up if you want to. Having one down here would definitely be worthwhile. Yeah, encampment near the tower is a lifesaver. That's effectively what this is, though, as far as I'm concerned. This is near the tower, because realistically my main defense is going to want to be over here because it'll double up its use. Oh. You might get through. No. Yep. +1 range is actually quite amazing, but having my ballista slow even further is way too good. Now, one of the really nice things about this is you can just straight up sell items and get all the money back, which is glorious. Let's continue on. It's starting to spread up. At this point, I'm going to want a shredder. Slow bolts are amazing, in my opinion. So does encampment mean landmines? Yes. It's an encampment that deploys landmines. Have we determined whether landmines stack? How do you mean, Demonworks? Like that. 3 on that same tile. The shredder is so good. More damage to armor or enemies drop more gold? It has to be enemies drop more gold at this point. I desperately need more gold coming in. But around this time that we can start looking to set up our defenses properly on the over here. So let's have you there, deploying your mines all along this route. Now the thing with encampments that's really quite interesting is that all of their mines between waves are gone. They have to begin setting them afresh every round. So the longer they have, the more they will deploy. That's why you kind of want them towards the end of your run more than anything else. These ones are just there because I think it's going to be interesting to have all of that set up, but genuinely having them at the end of the run can be crazy. They can be boss killers if you level them up enough. Increase maximum bleed or mortars gain 25% bleed. You know what? Mortars are also going to gain 25% bleed. My lord. That's just vile. It's wonderfully, wonderfully horrible. Let's pop a ballista there. Pop a ballista here. I would like you to go for the least health. And you to go for the fastest. So, if you get a full refund from existing weapons, can you move the entire defense around in one round? Yes. Yes, you can. But, one thing you don't get any kind of refund for. I'll demonstrate. If I go here, I can purchase an upgrade. This is now more dangerous against... because it's increased this multiplier. That's multiplying the base damage. So, this does 350 health damage, which also... then affects the amount of bleed it stacks. I can't get any refund on that. Additionally, you'll notice that some weapons already have some progress towards these upgrades. Basically, when they do damage against a certain type of health pool, they get better at damaging that health pool in the future. So the towers are naturally leveling themselves, and you can also invest in them. In fact, it's very important to invest in them towards the late game. That does not get refunded. If you sell the tower and then put it somewhere else, you're starting again from square one. That's a big loss. Like a really, really big loss. So, as a consequence, you're not likely to just move everything around. But it is a possibility. If you discover a massive weakness in your defensive line, you can, as an emergency, move the entire defensive line. And that is a big, big help. Like a crazy big help, actually. Okay, we've got our first split. Mortar shells look badass. The trails on weapons end up looking absolutely fantastic. Give it enough time. I want this one to still be going for the least health if possible. Actually, to make sure that we do go for the easiest kills, I want them least health, least armor, and least shield. Imagine being a wooden troop carrier and ending up bleeding. That must suck. Most armor, most health. Okay. Gain 1 range on all encampments. That does sound quite tempting. All landmines deal more damage. No, I'll take an extra range on encampments, actually. If it can bleed, I can kill it, indeed. The troops inside were probably the ones bleeding. The wooden wagon was fine. It was gouting blood because the people inside it were being sawed in half by the circle of swords. That makes sense. Sure. We'll go with that. Sorry to ask a zombie question, Ken. No, don't apologize. I'm happy to chat about any game. Like, I'm just relaxing now, and I hope everyone in chat is feeling relaxed. I know the music may be not the most not the most chill-inducing, but on apocalyptic settings, I heard you might want to hurry to Louisville, so there are not as many zombies spawned as on day 30 or whatever. Is this true for power difficulty as well? I have no idea. I'm still such a new player, but hopefully someone in chat will be able to help with that. Ballista range. Ballistas deal more damage to armor. I'm gonna go for ballista range. Most armor, most shield. Got that. Actually, most armor, most shield, most health. I'll have both of them do the same thing. Now, I'm not upgrading these at all yet, but eventually I will have to. I want to increase the amount of bleed damage I can inflict. Because right now we're limited to 24 damage per second. And if there's more bleed on a enemy, it just means it'll tick down slower. It'll last for longer, but they're going to bleed at a steady rate. We want to increase that rate. I didn't die, Hobbs. We're doing quite well, actually. We're up to day 17 currently. Though I haven't done as much building as I would like. I'm hoping that next time I stream Zomboid, we'll get a bit more done. I'm still experimenting with it. I'm not rushing to find a great place. I'm happy just to fortify the place I started with and see what we can do with that. Wow, okay, landmines now deal 25% poison damage. That is actually kind of disgustingly useful. Yes. Disgustingly useful. I could get one more bit of range on that. That would be glorious, but oh well. Right, the first boss wave. Aavak, any interest in playing CDDA at any point if you're already playing Zombie? Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier, actually. The more I play Zomboid, the more I feel the urge to play Cataclysm. Definitely going to be hard to take out Oogie. Oogie will continue to be a problem. Thankfully, Oogie is getting messed up by the bleed, the poison, and the mines. To that end, I am going to upgrade your damage and your shield damage as well. Oogie brings presents. Oogie's mangoes. All shredders gain 50% bleed is crazy. So yes. Now, treasure chest. Let's find out what we've got. I guess this one will do. And I guess I'll take more mana. And more damage to health, sure, okay. Not the best set of rewards, but certainly not the worst either. Let's make sure that we get all of these in the same place. Okay, now we're starting to face ghosts. So they're going to have shields. So it is now increasingly important that we have the means to deal with them. Shield, please. Okay, we'll demolish that one. There should be plenty of mines around here. There we go. Gradually ticking off their shields. Now the bleed effect is best suited for health damage, but because the way you have to work through it, you can imagine them as three separate health pools. There's health, there's armor, and there's shield. You have to destroy shield before you can just damage armor, and armor before you can damage health. And so the bleed is only going to do half damage because it's not against its ideal element. It's having to wear down the shield first, so it'll only do 50% damage against that. At this point, we're getting a lot of mines deployed. Mines have the advantage of having fairly large blast radiuses. All landmines now do bleed damage. I think I shall. Yes, please and thank you. Bosses spawn on the longest path, and to split up the spawns are two potential options. Oh, okay. I wasn't aware the bosses spawned on the longest path. The way I tend to... But the splitting the spawns is why I do it. Basically, from every point, an equal amount of enemies will spawn. Now, if there is a single path, they spawn at a steady rate. They don't all just get vomited out onto the path at once, and then they're just a massive mob. So, over time, the slowest and the fastest will naturally disperse themselves. But if they're all coming out of a single point, it is a long trickle, typically. And they'll kind of form into two trickles eventually, you know, somewhat distant from one another, if the path is long enough, just because the fastest will tend to pull away. But when you've got a split, let's say that initially, when this was just a split here, so there was a path there and a path here, half of the total spawn for this wave would have come from there and would have come from there, and they would have met more or less at this point. So basically they would have clumped up into a much bigger pool. And as much as some weapons are ideal for dealing with clustered units, that tends to make them much harder to deal with. Towards endgame, especially when you've got units that naturally spawn other units, a cluster of them that makes them harder to take out can spell death for the run. Yeah, the mortars do area damage, like I said, but while some weapons excel, because then you've got Tesla towers as well, which are AoE towers, late game, it is so much more important to be able to focus down specific enemies rather than do a bit of damage to everyone. It is much more important to have them spread out enough that you can do an enormous amount of damage to one at a time. Bleed them dry. We want all of the bleed forever. We're going a pretty hefty bleed focus right now. Is that one mining? Yes, good. It's a little bit hard to see whether they would be on the right elevation. Those two wouldn't. They can only mine from a mine that is on the same elevation as them. Which is a bit of a pain in the bum, I'll be honest, but... Or at least that was the case the last time I checked. Yeah, it's also quite... It is quite expensive to place a single type of tower. Yeah, this game is really, really fun. To be honest, I've kind of been addicted to it. It is so incredibly engaging. And the real charm about this one is its replayability. The fact that, A, the dungeon itself is randomized. Like, we've actually been very lucky. This is a very long run with only a single split and then another very long run. This could be splitting all the time, and to the point where it's just one death blob. And it's just luck. And also, the luck in the draws of the cards is what cards you get back, and that's what weapons you can bring to bear. How you upgrade them, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and bring this all the way up to 15. There we are. And this one the same. It's fairly slow now, unfortunately. Do I want to try and gather from these? Not sure I do. We can get some taxes out of that if we're generating enough mana. Right now our towers don't use mana, but that isn't to say that I'm not going to end up with towers that will. Pop. Okay. More bleed damage on my mortars, or no, actually, there we are. Attacks against bleeding enemies have a 5% chance to crit. That is gonna be glorious for this. Actually, obscenely great. It meets with my approval. The nice thing about mines is that they don't just increase the base hit points of your tower. They allow your tower to auto-heal from damage, which is incredibly important later on. It's amusing here because the poison damage is what gets through shields, but because we've increased the amount of bleed per tick we can generate, our bleed is technically 1 point more efficient at taking down shields per second than poison is. The only difference between the two is that bleed will only stop the natural regen of health for things like trolls and such, whereas poison will stop the shield regen. We're not facing any enemies that have shield regen yet, but once we do, bleed wouldn't be able to keep up. But it is funny that right now, it is technically better. Good. Least shield, least armor, least health, please. I could, of course, set all my ballistas to basically try to slow things down by always going for the fastest. That's another option that we could go for. And one that I actually quite like the idea of. So, fastest. So this one will switch targets relatively frequently because once there is a group here, every time it hits something, it's going to apply 10% of its damage as a slowness. +1 damage to armor, generates... I mean, mana through the magic market is a good one. But Trail of Blood is also quite nice. No, I think we're going to go with extra poison right now. What are you doing over here? Net gold gifted, 420 gold. 210 gold. I like that. I like that it tells me how much net gold it's gained. That makes it much easier for me to tell if it's useful or not. Oh yeah, the blue boxes are mana crystals. Sorry that I missed that one, Jessner. There are thousands of bleed stacked on these enemies now. Again, the bleed will only get through at 50 damage a pop. Like, the most they'll lose, well, at 51 a second because they're taking extra damage from bleed. But having thousands, in some cases, they will never live long enough. Even getting to the tower, they wouldn't have had long enough to completely bleed out that much damage. But certain abilities later on will have a greater effect based on the amount of bleed the enemy has accrued. So it does become useful. Are the Trail Zone mortars an upgrade? The Trail Zone mortars are showing what effects they have. There'd be a similar trail on the ballistas, and I believe the explosion particles are similar. It's basically showing that the mortars cause bleed damage. Let's have a watch of this. No, they don't have... well, that being said, this is poison rather than bleed, but they don't seem to show anything like that, sadly. Wow. Yep. We could tax the dead. All right, let's tax the dead. It makes me feel sad, but sure. All right. Now, I don't know if this still only benefits towers on the same level. We've got no good towers... good sections where there are two graves on the same elevation. So we're just going to have to hope. Right, let's have a look at this. Yeah, that's only connecting one. This one's only connecting one as well, so... On the plus side... They'll never... Oh, no, that one can actually never have a house next to it, sadly. But on the plus side, what I was going to say is that their cost does not increase. Oh, shift click does work! I was testing this earlier and it didn't seem to. Thank you so much. Being an absolute numpty with that. I should have clearly didn't test well enough. There we go. Now the thing with these houses is they will slowly gather more coin over time. Basically they're using up mana to convert into cash. And right now I don't use mana for anything else, so that's perfectly fine. Getting more mana out there would be important. These ghosts are definitely a problem. Thankfully, I do have a lot of mine supplies. I don't want to go much further than this point because that's the split. And I'd rather all of my weapons be able to actually do something against the enemies coming from either direction. But for the time being, this is okay. Do you know when the VODs will be up, by the way? I'll definitely watch it later. So yeah, your first character fit. I mean, the Twitch VODs will be available as soon as the stream ends. You can watch it here on Twitch. If you want to watch it on YouTube, where it'll have a little bit more editing polish and won't, you know, just be 6 megabits, then that will be in a couple of days' time. They'll start going up an hour at a time. One more damage to shields. I could start getting a flamethrower that uses mana. That is probably not going to happen. Instead, I'm going to use lifesteal to try and steal mana per kill. Right now, this is kind of pointless for me to do because there is no way I'm generating enough mana to make use of this many haunted houses, but we'll just plop them down for funsies anyway. But it will just drink my mana pool. Bunch of rocks, I know. But it takes a long time for them to make back. Like, at this point, my cheapest tower is 220. We're on wave 22. And a tower with one building besides it took this many levels to make back its cost. So, realistically, at this stage, they're not as useful. Yeah, 1 gold per round per tower. Correct. Well, it's not 1 gold per round. It's current level. So it would be 22 gold per round, and then 23, and then 24. If I just put a single 220 gold ballista tower next to it. Do you see what I mean? It would take almost half as many levels as I have left just to pay back the tower that I placed down. These ones have been earning from the very beginning, and these towers are fairly cheap to place, so it's fine to keep them. But later on, that's not really going to be cost effective for me. If I'd had more different types of weapons, because each tower becomes more expensive the more I place, if I'd had other types of weapons to place earlier on rather than the ballistas, then it would be more cost effective. So, you know, you have to adjust your tactic based on the will of the cards, if you like. What do haunted houses even do? They convert mana into money. We could grab this one. Mortars having more range is pretty amazing, but more mana per second means more taxing of the dead. So, for example, if I look here, that one's never gathered anything, but some of these will have gathered stuff. They've used a certain amount of mana. They gain a certain amount of tax. Honestly, this is not great, but the cost of them never went up, so I don't mind it too much. Let's see. I could possibly place this here, and this will actually stretch down there as well, so we'll have even more mines in this cluster. Have I ever played Inscription? Yeah, I played it the moment it came out. Did a full run, more or less, in one night. Well, actually, no, it was 2 streams, sorry. Loved it. You know what? The VODs probably aren't up anymore, so, like, the Twitch VODs, because it's been a while. I will get those up on YouTube forthwith. Hey, Nokrium, how you doing, mate? Welcome, Raiders. Thank you, Road Train. Manning the defences. How is your stream, Nokrium? Let's get a shout out to you. Oh, you were playing Distant Worlds too? Yeah, I was really tempted to play that tonight. How are you finding it so far? Yes, it's absolutely Wololol conversion. That's what the robes are for. There we go. Pop. I could place down even more mines if I really wanted to. This is actually becoming an incredibly good area for wiping out enemies. If I place one there, yeah, let's continue to stack those up. It's great so far. How do you find it in comparison to the original? A few beta bugs. Ah, well, I mean, yeah, that's going to be part of the course, really. Yeah, I'm very sorely tempted to cover that in the next few days. Pop another shredder over here. Let's upgrade you a bit, shall we? I need to start investing into the actual towers that I've got, into the levels that they've got. Increase maximum poison. Shredders gain more bleed. Haunted houses will use mana twice as efficiently. Yes. That one seems like a very, very good one. Okay, we've found a split there now. Man, I just drank. Again, reasonably far, to be fair. Especially the vampires who turn into bats when they perish. That's a little bit of a worry. Make sure that we're hitting the heaviest enemies with these. Distant Worlds 2 looks and feels like Distant Worlds 1 with a better paint scheme and some chrome. Or shiny and chrome. I was debating on playing now or waiting for release in a couple of months, but I couldn't resist. Yeah, no, that's kind of where I am, the cream. When they mentioned that, oh, well, you know, you've got limited factions, I'm like, I feel like I may as well wait then. Then I was like, now though? It literally was that as well. When they mentioned, oh, you can play with two factions, I was like, Aavak, not that I know anything about this game, but if a path snakes back to your original tower, do the defenses there attack the enemy? Oh yeah. They a particularly fortuitous setup will be a path that kind of snakes around because all of your defenses are doing double duty at that point. They can be incredibly effective. I could play more of my my Distant Worlds 1 game. That is a very, very good point. Yes. Use mana to electrify? No, but I wouldn't mind gaining a little bit more mana when we kill enemies. Oh, but that bleed. No, I need to increase my bleed per second to 80. It has to happen that way.